Well, hey, it's Ben Fielding, and welcome to Songwriting. I'm here with my friend Gabriel Kelly.
Indeed, we are very excited to have you with us for our online experience, and hopefully this is as beneficial for you as anything you've seen on the internet in a very, very, very long time. Ben, we're here to talk today about songwriting.
Indeed.
A massive topic, something
Huge
we don't have
topic.
a lot of time for, and I know that you have some thoughts prepared. We've got a few different songs we can talk about, but if you want to kick us off with something from your perspective, maybe, how about your greatest regret as a songwriter?
Well, it's a very heavy way to start, but I like that you went there.
We're not here to mess around.
No, that's exactly right. I think probably one of the things that is a common trap for me as a writer is to, people use the analogy of going fishing for ideas, and I think there's a sense in which, that's when you sit down to write. You can even if you're coming in with an idea like a theme, or you're coming in with a melodic thought, there's an element of you're going out to fish. You're going out to see what else you can find, and I think it can be really easy to be trying to catch something that's big with just a little bit of bait. And I think one of the things, looking back over so many of the songs that I've worked on, that and then watching the journey of that song, it often started as something else that we thought was good, and then that became something better, and that became something better, and something better. And so I think that can be one of the traps for songwriters, is to try to sit down and immediately just write something that's incredible and not settle for anything less. And in the process, you end up sort of with nothing rather than something that you can take and develop.
Yeah, you use the word process there, and it makes it feel, to me, from an outsider's perspective as far as songwriting goes, that you have to be prepared for a song to grow and develop and change shape over time. Is that something you've encountered often in writing?
Yeah, I think, there's a few exceptions, but pretty much every song is like that. I think of a song, Anchor, that I wrote with Dean Usher, and I had this little track thing that we were writing to that was up-tempo. It had this kind of... And so the chorus is where the song started, and it, there is hope in... So it was as a almost up-tempo track.
No way.
And then we were trying to sort of theme there was the idea of hope and whatever, and so Dean started sharing a bit about what he and Rachel were going through at the time, and he was saying he's been reading Hebrews 6, and we read that together, and so the theme of the song changed, and kind of as soon as that happened, we actually need to change the whole feel of the song, and so it no longer felt right to be singing about something that is as meaningful as that, with this kind of really. And so it was a matter of process, changing the melody, the feel of the song to match the theme. And so then when we started playing verses for that song, it sort of became this sort of ballad. And then, the way that even the theme of that song then tied together, with the bridge, that was almost accidental, because that was kind of a separate thing that just ended up being an incredible, full stop on that theme.
Right.
That, his name is... the oath that he gives, and that he couldn't give a greater oath than his name. And so that's a great example for me of if something that started this way but ended up as a completely different song.
Following on that, I have a question. It might feel like a real simple question for you. You started with an idea that I think a lot of people would kind of have an approach. As the song developed, you felt like it needed to change direction. How do you decide when it's time to change the theme and vibe of a song from the up-tempo praise song you had planned to something very different? Or do you go, let's put that on hold and write something new? How do you know if it's time to change an idea or to start from scratch?
I think when it starts to feel like it's becoming really laboured. And so, with that example, actually another example is Who You Say I Am, a song that I wrote with Ruben, and so that song started with Who the Sun Sets Free is Free Indeed, as another up-tempo song, and it was kind of cool, and we wrote a full song, wrote verses, had a bridge for it, and came away, and I was like, it's a really solid song, and I was kind of excited about the up-tempo version of the song, and maybe I still could be if I went back and looked at it, but it was one of those things that it was a finished song. Then it had a theme that was very much about freedom, and then we were in another session, so we'd kind of put that, we'd messed with taking it in a different direction, but we kind of were like, that's a finished song.
Yeah, it was finished,
and we crafted it a bit, and so we came back different session and just pulled that up, and then one of the first things that came was, what about if it was 6/8? And so we started playing it, the chorus, different melody, different feel, same theme, and then that kind of led to this. We went back into the actual verse itself in John 8. We're like, well, there's this whole like context for that idea of we're no longer slaves. We've been brought into the family of God, so we have a new identity. So it's not just freedom, but it's like child. It's son, daughter of God, and so there's an identity aspect to it as well as just this sort of broad idea about we're free. And so then the bridge, I'm chosen. That came next, and so that song again just took a really different shape.
Wow. So even though it was finished, you guys still felt like there was something that wasn't quite there, or it was just like coincidence that you went back in and changed the time signature, or? I
think when the time signature changed, my excitement for the new idea was just greater than the song that we had written.
Right.
And so I think maybe that answers the question about when it's time to like go with a new idea, is when that feels more exciting and it feels like the thing that you want to go back to.
Yeah.
That's a good indication. And then I think if you're crafting, and I've done this a lot of times too, you craft and craft and craft, and the idea is getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
The more you mess with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you get that sense as a writer, sometimes in the session, sometimes it's going back and looking at the song that you thought was great, and you listen to it even, in the car on the way home, and you're like, actually, we made that worse. And that happens.
Right. So tell me about this. Both of those examples, Anchor and Who You Say I Am, have both highlighted the instance that you will go back in and let the lyric dictate so much of the song. Mm-hmm. You'll go, this is the theme we want to follow, whether it's Hebrews 6 or John 8, and the lyric will drive the overall feel of the song, the actual composition of the song as well.
Yeah.
Is that something you experience often in writing, or are those rare occasions?
No, I mean, I feel for me, that's one of the best ways to approach a song, is just having, and letting melody push the theme as well. So it's kind of like a bit of a dance, because you've got like a broad theme, but then if the particular, like the melodic, the harmonic sort of context is suggesting something, it's an angle on the theme. And I think that the songs that move me are always songs where it feels like there is an ease and a natural authenticity to the way that the theme's expressed, and it's like the melody and the theme are really good friends, and they're working together.
Right. Can you speak to another great example of this? Could be So Will I?
Yes, So Will I remember hearing is a song called The Origin of Light, and it was a cool song, and
title's not as good though.
Yeah, title 8 out of 10. But that song, like I remember hearing that as a finished song, and a lot of creation, lyric, and this like the galaxies, and like it was an incredible song, really well written song, crafted song, but it just felt like there was a better song in that song, and so I remember Ben Hastings sort of and I talking about that, and I know he obviously talked about it with Joel, and they ended up going away and writing So Will I from that song. But the quest there was to write something that felt like it had a feeling to it, like it actually drew you into the story, and so it wasn't just a description but it was actually like how you're placed in that. So the idea, as soon as I heard that as So Will I, if you do this, then so will I, if you can do this, like it's that straight away just changed the whole feel of that song. And then with that change came like this, the melodies changed, the formatting of the song, the form of the song changed as well.
Super awesome.
Yeah, but incredible to watch the journey on that song. Of course, that's just such a gift, that song, to the church and to so many people.
Yeah.
And you realise that you're just so grateful for writers that will keep going back in and pushing towards that end goal.
Okay, by way of wrapping up, let's revisit our fishing analogy from the start.
Okay.
What would your encouragement be to people who are out here writing, toiling away, and find themselves catching the same fish over and over? Whether they're writing the same song or stuck in a bit of a rut as far as style or form, what would your encouragement be to help them like cast a wider net?
Well, I think the key is to keep doing it, like even when it feels laborious, because you know some days you'll go out and you just throw the line in and something incredible will hook. So to keep going back
Which
faithfully,
happens. Sometimes.
100%. But then I think to mess with the format and change the way you approach writing. I love collaborating with people because that does that instantly. So my encouragement would be keep writing, try different things, try different instruments, write with different people, and just be open.
Great, love that. Thank you so much, Ben.
Beautiful. Thanks, Gabe.